Ronald Reagan was born in Tampico, Illinois in the year 1911. He grew up in a small townhouse with his mother, father, and brother in the town of Dixon, Illinois. There, he went to school and graduated from Eureka College for economics and sociology. Later, after graduating college, he became a sports announcer near Des Moines, Illinois. In 1937, Reagan entered his career in the film industries, making over 54 films. Supposedly, he attempted to erase all the communist influences in the movie industries to make it a more pure and authentic career for himself to pursue. During that time, people said that he connected to his audience and made them feel cared about and known, giving his reputation a kickstart. Growing up around his family, he was taught to support the Democratic Party, but soon after ending his acting career, he switched his views towards the Republican Party. Later in life, he became the governor of California, where he shared his views and created a great society for the citizens of California to live in. His experiences with acting, announcing, and governing the state of California encouraged his runnings for presidency in 1968 and 1976. Although the two elections were unsuccessful, he eventually became the oldest president of the United States in 1980.
President Ronald Reagan was known for his conservative economic values. He favored the ideas of federalism and free market, meaning that he liked for there to be a strong central government with low government involvement in prices of supplies and goods. Going along the lines of a free market, he encouraged private businesses. In addition, he encouraged strong education, so he made sure to improve educational quality. President Ronald Reagan had high involvement in the war on drugs, and because of that, he reduced drug trade within America. In addition, he made the President's Comprehensive Crime Act, which restricted the insanity defense used in court. The President's Comprehensive Crime Act also toughened penalties for particular crimes and was considered to keep criminals behind bars. President Reagan made the Tax Reform Act of 1986, which targeted middle-class tax deductions, and he expanded the alternative minimum tax to refocus on middle-class Americans rather than the untaxed rich investors. However, he did raise taxes so that there was a 28% margin. President Ronald Reagan's views on free market and reduction of taxes became known as Reaganomics. Reaganomics is the economic policies that President Reagan's administration put forth that emphasize the supply-side theory. The supply-side theory is basically the idea that economic growth can be most effectively created by lowering barriers for people to produce or supply goods and services. The theory also includes the thought that by lowering marginal tax rates and less regulation, that consumers will be more encouraged to buy goods, leading to the expansion of businesses. Reaganomics put these ideas to work by decreasing social spending and deregulating domestic markets.
Ronald Reagan's first major foreign policy issue was the Cold War. Nicknaming the Soviet Union the evil empire, Reagan began to build up the U.S. military. He implemented the Reagan Doctrine, where he stated that the U.S. would provide aid to any anti-communist countries. In 1983, he revealed the Strategic Defense Initiative, a plan whose aim was to develop space-based weapons to protect the U.S. from Soviet nuclear attacks. In the Middle East, Reagan sent 800 Marines to Lebanon as part of an international peacekeeping force. Also, Reagan ordered U.S. forces to invade the island of Grenada after the current government had been overthrown. During his second term, Reagan worked to create diplomatic relationships with Mikhail Gorbachev, the chairman of the Soviet Union. In 1987, the Americans and the Soviets signed the peace treaty.
During Reagan's second term, he wanted the same type of foreign affairs as past President Richard Nixon. Nixon was a part of a time period called Détente, which was a period of improved relations between the United States and the Soviet Union, which began in 1971. Nixon had visited Secretary General of Soviet Communist Party Leonid Brezhnev in May 1972. He and Brezhnev signed 7 agreements covering the prevention of accidental military clashes. Reagan had made a similar agreement with the Soviet Union by eliminating the nuclear missiles. However, Reagan didn't like Détente as a solution. He stated that the Soviet Union saw this as a sign of weakness and vulnerability. He wanted peace through strength from military and economic power. He intended not merely to contain the Soviets, but to subdue them.
President Ronald Reagan's legacy is being known for his persuasive power and political guile. He was considered a great communicator. He would often appear on television to ask viewers for support for a particular piece of legislation. By being such a sociable people person, he achieved many of his presidential goals. Not only was he a people person, but he also refocused the nation's social, business, and international agenda.
During Reagan's presidency, a man named John Hinckley attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan as he exited a hotel for a president's walk. John Hinckley believed that Reagan had wrong political views for the United States' future. After the event occurred, Reagan was rushed to the hospital to receive medical attention along with 3 other wounded citizens. This tragedy sparked a national scare which traveled through the newspaper industries moments after and worried the citizens throughout the United States. Headlines were printed on every newspaper talking about the attempt of assassination on Reagan. After recovering from the surgery, Reagan quickly rose back to his feet and continued his good work in office until his term ended on January 20th, 1989.